It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Good to have you with us in studio today, whether you're listening on the radio or watching on TV. Ivan Anderson is in studio with MATForce. Ivan's got many hats, but we're just going to say the all-around guy from MATForce, Ivan Anderson. How you doing?
Very good, thanks.
It's good to see you again.
Good to be here.
I think you're like two, 3 times a year you're here, aren't you?
It seems like it.
Yeah, but that's good. That's good because every time you come in, we talk about another chunk of MATForce and what MATForce is doing, the Methamphetamine Advisory Task Force. We've talked about them for years. Matter of fact, I'm not sure exactly how long MATForce has been around now.
We were talking the other day. We actually had our first meeting in Jerome up at the Spook Hall, I think it was, in 2006.
2006. So it's going on 7 years now.
Going on 7 years.
Wow, okay. But we want to talk about, there's a couple of community forums coming up. So we'll touch on that this morning, and we'll bring information on that. But then, as you can see in front of me, I've got several different things that MATForce has come out with, and just different facets. And I was talking to Ivan before the program how MATForce has done such a good job of reaching every age group across Yavapai County, from the little kids all the way up to the older adults, people older than us, Ivan.
Yeah.
And but you know, from the school buses that you see driving down the roads with the anti-drug messages on the screen to MATForce does the poster contest for the kids, different age groups where the kids can make posters, anti-drug posters, and then a couple of them win. The pizza box tops.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Dump the drug events. And then we've got all these forums. We're going to talk about the lunch and learns that go on a couple times a month. There's just a lot of different things for every age group to kind of inform people about drug abuse within Yavapai County. Yeah. And we do have a problem, don't we?
We do, unfortunately.
We're no different from anybody else.
We're no different from anybody else. Yeah. We just happen to have an organization that's got roughly 300 volunteers that from all facets of the county, from everywhere from firefighters to mayors to district attorneys to police officers to volunteers who are just, concerned grandparents. We've got a real wide gamut of people involved, and we have been really pushing forward since, like I said, 2006. And in December of this last year, we went ahead and again had a meeting, kind of a few folks from MATForce, or not a few, but a handful of folks from MATForce got together, brainstormed an outline for 2013, and we got to talking about how we got started. And we started as a bunch of folks in the community that were interested, and now with our core group, we thought, we probably should go out to the community again and not just have our little bubble of people, but go out and say, hey, we're inviting everybody from the community. We have 2 forums. One's going to be on the 22nd of January at the Cottonwood Rec Center at 6 o'clock. And it's just going to be, if you've got some ideas or concerns you think should be addressed by MATForce, or some suggestions of how we could maybe improve on stuff, or whatever you may have to offer, these forums are for people who don't necessarily go to these meetings or whatever, or never been to one, but we're interested in other people's ideas. We don't have an answer for everything, and so we're opening it up to the community to come and give us some suggestions.
Yeah, get some new ideas, get some fresh ideas from fresh folks out there. So yeah, there's one coming up on Tuesday, January 22nd. So that's a week from, that's next Tuesday.
Yes.
Wow, January's going by fast. 6 p.m. at the Cottonwood Rec Center on 6th Street in Cottonwood. And then there's one in Prescott Valley. That's coming up the following Tuesday, January 29th at 6 o'clock. And that'll be at the Lonesome Valley Hospitality. I'm assuming that's a hotel.
It says Hampton Inn Suites Meeting Room.
Okay, there you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then all this is on matforce.org. That's the website you can look at. But the idea is to get new people in. Let me ask you, if you were coming into this meeting, what would you say would be the #1 problem in Yavapai County, drug-wise?
Well, prescription drugs is still our biggest issue right now. We're always going to have marijuana as an issue for teenagers, and then the whole medical aspect of it and how that's turning out and everything.
That changed this last year.
Yeah, and we've seen, even with all the lawsuits and everything the state's pursuing and stuff, we're seeing the negative effects of it, and I think it'll just get worse personally, but that's a whole other such story. But, we're still seeing a fair amount of marijuana use among the teens. And then in the highest, and I'm focusing on school-age kids because I'm on the Speakers Bureau, and that's my target audience is middle school to high school. I mean, I talk to parents too, but I generally talk to teens, and we
want to get the kids before they start doing it.
Yeah,
basically.
That's generally middle school age,
right.
But alcohol is also a real concern. The marijuana and the alcohol are the two biggest concerns, I would say, with our middle school and high school kids, because of availability and perception of no harm and that kind of thing. And they've been that way since I was in high school. Those were the drugs of choice when I was going to high school. That was years ago. So those are the ones we focus on right now. They're getting a lot of our attention. The underage drinking task force we have, that's being headed up by Detective James Tobin in Prescott Valley. And he's been really involved with that and done a lot of good things with that. And that's been on both sides of the mountain. It's not just over in Prescott Valley, but I think through their efforts and through the cooperation with the police forces and the police departments, that's been successful. The whole marijuana issue is, it's going to shake out how it shakes out, and the only goal is to inform the kids and let them understand, the dangers that are associated with pot. And, there's a lot of perception out there that it's not that big of a deal, and that perception carries over to the prescription medications also. And we're trying to get the message out there that prescription medications are just that. They're a prescribed medication for the person who needs them for whatever reason they need them.
When did it become not a prescription anymore? That's what I'd like to know. Do we know when it was all of a sudden that, okay, you know what, Mom and Dad have got this painkiller because he hurt his back, but I'm going to take some of these. When did it start becoming such a drug that people, instead of using the marijuana, cocaine, heroin, they switched to the pill that you get from the hospital and the pharmacy?
And I don't have an exact date. I would guess probably in the last 5 years.
Okay, it's really picked up pace over the last few years, hasn't it?
In fact, I'll go off probably 2008. When we first really kind of getting that on our radar. And I just got out of medic school. Excuse me, and so I hadn't been involved in MATForce a lot for a while because I was so involved with that.
Sure.
And I got back into really getting involved with MATForce, and prescription medication was like just starting to become the big thing. We're talking about it all the time. And that was in 2008, so it's been almost 5 years.
And that's like 2 years after MATForce started, and I believe MATForce started for the sole fact to get rid of methamphetamine in Yavapai County.
That was our start.
And our county attorney did a great job of that, and I think the biggest thing on that was the 5 to 15 years in prison automatically if you're caught selling or dealing methamphetamine in Yavapai County. And the law's still there. You automatically get 5 to 15 years. So I think that was a big help.
That and also, the local cities in Yavapai County set the precedent for the state when they took Sudafed containing medications and had them put behind the counter at pharmacies.
That's right.
And Cottonwood was leading that. That was, kudos to the city council for that. And then, that carried over in the other part of the counties, and then the state just went ahead and made it a statewide thing. I think Janet Napolitano signed a bill for that or something along those lines, to where it made all medications containing pseudoephedrine to go behind the counter to be, and you couldn't buy more than so many packages at once.
You sign a logbook. You must sign a logbook with your name and stuff.
So I mean, it's not just MATForce. It's a community-wide effort getting things accomplished, and the whole prescription drug thing right now. We've got a doctor with it, Dr. Catalico, who's been on here a time or two, I'm sure. That is involved with what we call Sign Up to Save Lives. And he has been spearheading this with, the assistance of MATForce and Marilee and people like that involved.
You know what? I'm going to cut you. I'm going to cut you off. I have to. We got to take a break. Okay. We'll come back and let's. This will be our next segment. We'll talk about this prescription drug and what's been going on with that. This is Countywide. Ivan Anderson in studio today, talking from MATForce. I'm Paul David. Again, Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I was in junior high the first time I caught my mom using denial. She had to have known her painkillers were missing because I kept stealing them. hurt and I was so out of hand.
So she doesn't even know? I'm going out.
It was like I could get away with anything.
You kids have fun.
And that was when I knew. When she was addicted to denial.
Denial is a drug. Get help. The partnership at drugfree.org.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Now, some action from the courts. Billie Jean King renewing her rivalry with Arthritis. First set, furious volley, and right to the net for a winner. Beautiful forehand there. Arthritis, stunned. And here, match point. Billie Jean with the ace, taking it in straight sets. Afterwards, a jubilant Billie Jean King.
Tennis is a weapon for me with arthritis. There's nothing like it for me to hit a ball, run to the ball, anytime, any court. I'm ready. Let's go.
What's your weapon against arthritis? Find out at fightarthritispain.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Thanks for joining us today. Ivan Anderson in studio from MATForce. We're talking about just about everything about MATForce. But we were getting into prescription medications, and you were telling me about a doctor and a plan. Go ahead.
Dr. Catalico is spearheading Sign Up to Save Lives. And what that program is it just brings awareness to the doctors, dentists, veterinarians, pharmacists around Yavapai County of the free access they have to the Arizona Prescription Drug Monitoring Program.
What's that?
And what that is anytime that a pharmacist writes or not writes, but it fulfills a prescription and gives somebody some medications, they have to record that. They're supposed to record that with the Arizona Prescription Drug Monitoring Program through the state, and it's voluntary, and you can get online, sign up on it online, and go and review it as a doctor or a pharmacist. You have to go through a little process. It takes a few minutes to get it done, and then you can get on there, and you can keep track of your patients and their medications they're getting. Doctor shopping, I think a lot of people have heard of this. Patients that have addiction problems with the opiates like Oxycontin or Vicodin or hydrocodone or whatever.
I told you that during the break, that I knew somebody that was doing that. They were doctor shopping.
And people will go to great extents with this stuff, and they'll get a prescription from a doctor here in Cottonwood, and they'll go and fill it at a local pharmacy, whoever that may be, and then they'll get, say, 100 tablets. Well, then maybe next day they'll drive to Prescott, and they'll go see a doctor over there for whatever their ailment is, and then they'll get a prescription from him, and they'll go to a pharmacy over there and get it filled. Well, these pharmacists and doctors don't always know what's going on, but they can if they were to follow up and use this website. All they got to do is punch that person's name in. It'll be on that website. It'll say when they got their last prescription, what kind, how much. And so if you were given 100 hydrocodone and you're supposed to take 2 a day, obviously it's going to last you a while, but you go see a doctor, within a week or two and get 100 more, obviously something's not right there. Either you're selling them or you're abusing them or whatever. But it's a really good program. It's free. It costs nothing for these people to get on this and use it. And with Dr. Catalico's efforts and MATForce, supporting it and other people involved with it, we're getting more and more compliance and more awareness. And I think a lot of doctors, I'm not going to give them, make them sound like they're all bad people or anything. It's just that some probably don't even know about this whole thing, and so they just never used it. Well, now that this awareness is being put out there, we're getting more use of it.
Participation?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's going to help, I think, in the long run. It's a process, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it's helping to bring awareness to the pharmacists and the doctors, what they can do to help get rid of this problem and address this problem. Because the folks that have these problems, maybe they're breaking the law or whatever, they need help. And the goal is not to get everybody put in jail. The goal is to help them out. And if they've got an abuse problem or addiction problem, it's help them get help and to get rid of this problem. So that's the goal behind the Sign Up to Save Lives. So
get them off the prescription drugs. So is that kind of MATForce big focus right now? Prescription drugs?
It's one of them.
It's one of them, right?
Sign Up to Save Lives is definitely one of them. We were going to talk about it anyway. I'll segue over to the spice and the bath salts.
Got those kicked out of Yavapai County, didn't we?
Well, we're working on, I guess we have made them a public nuisance is what they ended up, that was the...
I don't think you can argue that they are a public nuisance.
You can't. You know, some people will say, well, they're legal and that kind of thing, but all they are is a man-made drug.
I have had some crazier news stories with people who were found out to be on spice and bath salts than I think any other drug combined. I mean, we're talking about people taking all their clothes off, stealing other people's vehicles and crashing them into trees and running around like banshees with their arms in the air, covered in mud and dirt and sweat, and they don't even know what they're doing. They're out of their mind.
Yeah.
Destroying their own homes. And you just got to wonder, why would you want to put that into you?
All they are is chemicals. You know, the spice, all spice is a man-made chemical that has been sprayed on herbs, a handful of different herbs, depending on what kind you get. And the effects are all over the board because, excuse me, you're not getting any particular type of chemical. You're getting just a quantity of chemical, and each package is different. So,
yeah, I was going to ask you that because we were talking about it before the show. Now, if I get this package of spice is not going to be identical to this package of spice, correct? And why?
The potency. You know, this stuff is not made like a bottle of Coke. You know, Coke goes on a conveyor belt, and there's so much, you know, of each chemical in the product, and there's 12 ounces per bottle and that kind of thing. When they make spice, you know, you've got just some dirtbag making this stuff. It comes out in a liquid form, generally, the chemical portion of it, and they spray it on the plants. And you may spray more here and less here.
Well, what was that, Bob? Well, he's spraying the one spot there, right?
So, I mean, I went on a website and read this doctor's evaluation of, I think, 50 different brands. And he said the potency went from anywhere from 2 milligrams per package to 35 milligrams per package. Ooh. And there was no particular brand that was more potent than the other. Just that was the distinct difference he found. And, you know, I've asked kids about it when I talk to them, and that admit to me they smoke spice. And I ask them, is each time you smoke this stuff the same? And the majority of them say no. It's always different. And sometimes it's not very good when it's different. I've had plenty of patients that were spice users that called us after they smoked spice. They needed a ride to the hospital.
What's the worst case? Give me the worst case. No names, but just the worst case that you've ever seen.
I had a 12-year-old last spring that smoked spice, she said, for the first time. When we got on scene with her, she had a twitch in her neck that she couldn't quit moving her head. She had no control over the muscles in her neck, and her head kept twitching to the left. It was pretty crazy. She had numbness and tingling all the way from her hips to her feet. She had a heart rate of over 150, and her blood pressure was through the roof.
Kill right there, huh? It could have killed her.
Well, I'm not going to say it would have killed her, but I have not heard of any deaths related to spice, but it's certainly not healthy for you.
Yeah.
And you have to wonder, why is your body tingling? Why can't you control the muscles in your neck?
Yeah.
I mean, the heart rate and the blood pressure, that's just, you know, part of maybe the amphetamine effect of whatever she had or whatever. But you know, all the other symptoms that go along with it, that is just crazy. I mean, no one, you know, for a while people were saying, well, spice is basically fake pot. You know, they derive.
I remember that when it first.
They derived some of the chemicals from forced spice. They actually, a doctor at Clemson University was doing some research on marijuana and had isolated about 8 different cannabinoids, an individual chemical in pot, and he synthesized them and put them in his lab. Well, these chemicals got out into the public, and they took them and made them in large quantities in liquid form and started using them and all that stuff, and that's the whole other story. But you're taking a man-made chemical that is quote-unquote from pot, and so people are saying, well, it's just fake pot. Well, no, it's not just fake pot. It's, you know, it's chemicals, and it's just sprayed on herbs. So.
Chemicals. Pill for everything. We have to take another break. Ivan Anderson from MATForce in studio today. They've got a couple of forums coming up. The first one is next Tuesday, the 22nd at 6 p.m. at the Cottonwood Rec Center. They want the public to just show up and kind of give them maybe some new ideas on how to deal with drug issues in Yavapai County. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have 2 ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Yes, ready.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Fire can happen at any time. What would you try to save?
My family photos.
My grandfather's war memorabilia.
My dogs.
I'm firefighter Brandon Wacker with the Cotton Fire Department. A working smoke detector is your best defense in the event of a fire. Make sure you have a smoke detector in every room except your kitchen. Test them monthly and change the battery once a year. Take the time to save the things you can't replace.
Hello everybody, I am Lou Ann Patterson. My family and I would like to welcome you to the Copper Star Indoor Shooting Range, Northern Arizona's premier shooting sports facility. We offer a 25-yard pistol range, a 50-yard archery range, and Arizona's only 100-yard indoor rifle range. In addition, we have a full-line gun shop as well as an archery pro shop. Come check us out. We're located at Highway 260 and Cherry Road, right next to Out of Africa. Looking forward to seeing you all.
Welcome back to Countywide. Ivan Anderson with MATForce in studio today. We've talked about quite a few things, actually. But the one thing we wanted to make sure we got out this morning was that the MATForce has 2 public forums coming up. They really want the public to brainstorm with them and come up with maybe some new ideas on how to deal with the drug issues in Yavapai County.
Or concerns that people have.
Or concerns, right. What is your number one concern? Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So anything really on your mind, drug-related, would be perfect for this forum. There's one in Cottonwood next Tuesday, January 22nd at 6 p.m. at the Cottonwood Recreation Center on 6th Street. And then the following Tuesday, January 29th, there's one in Prescott Valley, 6 p.m. Where's it at? Because I've got Lonesome Valley Hospitality. That's what popped up on the screen.
It's probably like a hall. It's called Hampton Inn and Suites. But so that's probably the hall it is in.
That's probably the conference room, huh? Mm-hmm. Hampton Inn. Okay, so that's over in Prescott Valley.
Right after Glassford Hill.
Glassford Hill. I wanted to hit this real quick. You guys have also got some kind of kid panels that you're doing and been doing.
You'll have to read that one. We got a lot going on. I'm not going to tell you
this is a drug and alcohol impact panel for the youth and young adults under 25. Educates about the risks and consequences of substance abuse and exposes the impact on victims of similar offenses. I think that's great because that's kind of the group that we're talking about. Granted, there's plenty of adults out there that are abusing drugs as well, but the kids are introduced to it so much. The young people. I'm sorry, I won't say kids. The program's $20, but they've got one coming up on January 29th, and that's going to be in Cottonwood. 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the multi-purpose room, Side B, Public Safety Building on 6th Street. So that's the police fire station combo building. Yeah, in Cottonwood. And then the next one after that will be in Prescott Valley from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. The Crystal Room, 3rd floor, Prescott Valley Library at the Civic Circle. That's on February 26, 2013. All this is on MATForce's website. It's matforce.org, MATFORCE.org. So all that information's there, and you can find it there. Lunch and Learns, how are those going? I attended a few of those when they first started, but Lunch and Learns that was kind of an interesting concept. Obviously, it's working because you're still doing them.
You know, it has not really lost any steam, and I like that. Because this is something that it's only an hour and a half once a month, but we've been doing it now for I want to say 3 to 4 years,
it's been a while.
You could easily burn these out, and we have not. And I'm not because we're great or anything, but because we've always had something to talk about. We've always had good speakers in there on good topics. And this one coming up in January is going to have Shayna. What's Shayna's last name?
Shayna Malone.
Yes, and she is with the Arizona Youth Count. If I remember right, or the Justice.
She's Senior Research Analyst for the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission.
Right, and she does Youth Count, which is it basically does surveys around the state.
That's
actually.
What it says,
And they just survey what kids are getting into between 8th, 10th, and 12th grade for the most part. Those are their target audiences, and they just try and find trends and try and see reduction in trends if they can, of different types of drugs and alcohol and cigarettes for that matter. And then they just compare each county around the state and look at your demographics and that kind of thing. And Shayna has been really involved with that. Well, that's her job, but she's been involved with us in the last year or so. And we've been using a lot of her information, really good, solid information. And Yavapai County, unfortunately, has seen an uptick in marijuana use among our teens, which was kind of a bummer to hear about. But
She'll have more on this, though, won't she?
Yes,
That's
she will.
coming up on Thursday, January 24th from 11:30 to 1. Ivan Anderson, thank you so much for coming in. It was
My
good
pleasure.
seeing you, always seeing you. Check out MATForce.org. I'm Paul David. That's today's Countywide. We will talk to you again next time.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.